The beautiful setting of the Styrian Mountains is the background for the Austrian Grand Prix at the newly named Red Bull Ring, formerly known as the A1 Ring, but it's essentially the same circuit. Split into two halves, really. You got the hard braking sections into the slow corners, and then the other half, the flowing section. Only two left-handers, really. Well, two named left-handers, and that's right at the centre of the circuit. Last season saw Hamilton and Glock take the 1-2 for shake and bake. They'll be hoping to do the same, although they were hoping for a better qualifying, 8th for Hamilton and 17th for Timo Glock. It was Buemi that took pole position in the Mitchell ahead of Alonso, Mark Webber qualifying strongly in the LeBlanc, and similarly strongly Kamui Kobayashi in the Pedersen. It's a fairly mixed up grid, I have to say, so it should make a fairly eventful race. The team looking in best shape is Tornado and Mitchell therefore, but although Hulkenberg in 16th. Mitchell have had a good time at the Red Bull Ring. Their two drivers, Paul Di Resta and Jaime Alguersuari, took the victories in the sprint, or the feature in the sprint race respectively. But that was in FF2M, this is FF1M, and it's go! So, that did not look like a good start at all from Alonso. Well, sorry, Buemi on pole, but Alonso taking the lead, and it's cars, and big shunt in the background, there's a shake and bake, and Tornado involved, FJR involved, and it's Timo Glock that's nibbling away at Nico Rosberg, and there's a traffic jam as well. Well, chaos at the start, and it's Alonso who takes the lead from Buemi. Glock was definitely involved, and I saw an Andy Racing involved as well. We need some replays, please. Kobayashi up to 3rd, so good start from him. Kovalainen 4th. Where did Kovalainen start? He was 6th. Perez up into 7th place. He's taken advantage of the chaos. He was 14th on the grid. And Hamilton more or less survived, and he's up to 6th. Buemi retakes the lead into the first of the two left-handers. So the pole sitter gets his lead back from Alonso. So could be the important move of the race for Buemi if he's got the race pace. Although Alonso is still quite strong. And look at the lead those two have built up over Kovalainen. Kobayashi's dropped 2 positions. Into lap 2. Kobayashi's lost another position to Hamilton. So careful, he could lose it to Perez as well. This is when Kobayashi has just lost it to Hamilton. So good first lap from Hamilton. Goes from 8th to 5th. This is Jenson Button on Kobayashi. Kobayashi's lost another position to Perez. So Perez flying at the moment. He's up 8 positions from his grid slot. So just at the end of lap 2, Buemi is the fastest man on the track. He's pulled out 1.5 seconds over Fernando Alonso. So after running 3rd at the start of the first lap, Kobayashi has dropped down the order. So what on earth happens here? I mean, I was keeping an eye on cars going in on the left-hand side, and just looking there, and I think Glock shunted Bruno Senna into Robert Kubica. So, and then there you can see Glock having a nibble at the other Guy Racing. So, what happens here? Glock, he's just shunted into the back of him. That's not going to do team boss Courtney Cass any good. And, that's that. So, Kubica's had his own incident there on Jenson Button, decided to swipe into him. This is when he's going to shunt there, and then that's where the Andy Racing lost control because Senna thumped him. So Perez didn't get a good launch, but at some point on the left, there was an Andy Racing got him immediately. But then Perez decided to take the inside line, which was a very clever move. There was Kubica deciding to take a nibble out of Button, and despite a lot of contact there, Perez made it through without any incident. And now at the moment he's running in 6th place. Kobayashi meanwhile is looking to have a go back at Jenson Button for the 7th place. Better be careful, he's got what looks to be an Andy Racing behind him. And in fact, it's not an Andy Racing, it's Sebastian Vettel. So Kobayashi's got the most difficult position of the lot here. Look at this, look at the mountains in the background, it's got snow on them, that's nice. And running wide is Kobayashi, so might lose 8th place eventually. And can Vettel do it into turn 8, the Jochen-Rindt curve? That's sufficient enough, that's up to 8th place in the points for Vettel, so both Shannons in the points at the moment. Reliability not been their strongest point this season, unlike the Pedersens, which have been practically bulletproof. So Vettel just about to pull away now, and Webber is going to have a go at Kovalainen into 3rd place, not quite into the Rindt curve. And at the Red Bull curve, I think it's a Red Bull, it used to be called the A1 curve, but I presume now it's going to be the Red Bull curve. But 3rd place looks as if it's under threat from Kovalainen, and just behind is Lewis Hamilton catching up, and he's dragging Perez along with him as well, so much stronger showing from Sergio Perez. Checo, for some people that like to prefer his nickname. You feel Webber's next chance is going to be into the turn 1 on this next lap. He's got a good run on Kovalainen, that's a great run on Kovalainen actually. So up the inside goes Mark Webber, and Kovalainen let him through pretty much there. Didn't want to fight that too much. Although he's just got this slipstream now. Where is he going to have a look into though? Because it curves a little bit. Kovalainen thinking better of it at the moment. But now he's up the inside on the brakes and back into 3rd place. These two are going to have a pretty good scrap. And interestingly, they were quicker than Hamilton on that last lap. You have a feeling now Webber's going to have another look back. Interestingly, they weren't that much slower than Buemi on that last lap. So these two, quite strong. 7 different constructors in the top 7, that's quite remarkable. Buemi in the Mitchell from Alonso in the Tornado, Kovalainen in the Dark Wolf, Webber in the LeBlanc, Hamilton in the Shake and Bake, Perez in the Shannon, and Button in the FJR. So on to lap 7 now. And they lost quite a lot of time to Buemi that lap. And Webber does it again into turn 1. And Kovalainen not taking the best of lines through there, and that's given Hamilton the opportunity to try and get now 4th place from Kovalainen. All around the outside there is not advisable, and that's cost him dearly. It's put Sergio Perez up past Hamilton and up past Kovalainen as well. Great move from Perez. Caught Hamilton absolutely napping there. Now Hamilton's got Kovalainen, but he now needs to try and get past Perez. So, crucial error there from Lewis Hamilton. Round the Lauda curve and then the Berger curve, named after the former Austrian world champion and the first ever race winner of the FF1M, even when it was the Masters era, Gerhard Berger. There's a little known fact. That was the only race that he won in the Masters era. He's won some others in the classic FF1Ms, with most recently with FJR. And he and Brundle helped FJR into 2nd in the championship, just behind Shake and Bake. So Yorkshire 1 and 2 at the end of the, I believe it was 1986 classic season. So lap 8, it's a 6-second gap between Buemi and Alonso. There's an Andy Racing that's lapped there. I believe that will be, well, we can't tell yet, but just trying to check the helmet. It's one of the 2 drivers anyway. So Kovalainen, his teammate is just blown up, so that was good timing in terms of the video point of view, but bad luck for Dark Wolf anyway. Wasn't going well for Trulli anyway, he's running 2nd to last. But it's a worry for Kovalainen, of course, that's quite early in the race. This is Rosberg versus Roman Grosjean. Grosjean not looking as quick in this race, certainly not as quick as Button. But Grosjean hanging on round the outside. That's some stern defending there from Romain, the Frenchman, who has had an impressive season with FJR, his first FF1M season, and he's pretty much matched Button in terms of pace, but dogged by FJR's poor reliability, as was Jensen for that matter. Reliability was better for them last time out. They were both in the points, Grosjean 4th from Button 7th, despite there was a rude moment, I believe, from Jensen during that race. At the moment he's running 7th, just in clear air. He's got Vettel for company. You can just sense that Rosberg is going to get Grosjean at some point. Don't think he'll do it into there. Indeed not. But he's got a good chance into turn 1 on this next lap here. Lap 12 for these two guys. And Rosberg is now ahead. Can he remain there? No, he can't. Grosjean's got quite good on the brakes. And there's a loose wheel. I can see a loose wheel on the front right tyre. That is going to come off at some point. So what's Webber going to do? He's surely going to pit, is he? He's nearly going to cause an accident. Yeah, he's going to pit. So, well, there you can see it, loose wheel. So that's poor luck from the LeBlanc again. Reliability's not been on their side either. So it's going to drop him a bit down the order. Now, if these guys are 1 or 2 stopping, then Webber is probably on a 2-stopper anyway, so it would just have been brought forward. And there was a graphic that was possible to see on the steering wheel, how much fuel he had on board. I didn't quite catch it there. But it's a 12.4 second stop for the Aussie in the French team. Out of the pits. 13th position. And we nearly caught the glimpse of his in-car data. So all that moves Perez up into 3rd place, ahead of Hamilton in 4th, Kovalainen in 5th, Button 6th, Vettel 7th, and Kobayashi back into the points. But just ahead of Perez, both Buemi and Alonso. Into pits very early comes Sergio Perez. That's quite early for a 2-stop even. But we'll see how this one pans out. So you can just see his mechanics there. Definitely not a reliability problem, it just seems like it's a scheduled stop, so deliberately running Perez light in order to try and get him boosted up the order. Certainly the first lap incident helped. Kubica and Rosberg colliding with each other helped. But nevertheless, it's been a strong performance so far from Perez. This is a very long stop, so I'd imagine 2 stops for the Mexican. 17.6 seconds, that's a very, very long stop. But it's a very short lap here. They do lap times of 1 minute and 8 seconds. Not as short as Dijon. I mean, they were reaching the sub-minutes. And that's ahead of Webber, so can Webber get the Mexican into turn 2? The Remus curve. Not quite. There's a pretty interesting gradient on that curb. Seen many overtakes there. Including this one, Perez's double overtake will go down as one of the best overtakes of possibly of the championship. I remember Heinz-Harald Frentzen did a 3-car overtake into that corner in the 99 season, albeit with a bit of barging, but nevertheless 3 cars in 1 braking zone, and we were well into the race as well. So he proved that it was possible, and so indeed has Perez. Up the inside into the Rint curve, but not quite there. And that was a poor line through the last corner for Webber. Now he's got a Pedersen looming a bit. It's the Pedersen of Chandok. Running quite strongly, I'd say. Yellow flag's out. Buemi, and there's an Andy racing off. Nope, that's Chandok. So I've commentators cursed him, I'm afraid, and Senna out as well, so 2 retirements on the same lap. Well, 1 retirement anyway, but Chandok's managed to keep going, sort of. And Buemi lapping Raikkonen in the Tornado and trying to lap his teammate, but instead Buemi's going to pit for the first probably 2 stops. That was a difficult in-lap with the traffic in his way. Alonso takes the lead. Alonso in good shape to retake the championship lead, with Hamilton down in 4th place. Alonso is only 2 points behind. By the way, Buemi in 3rd place. He's looking strong, I'd say. The Brazilian race winner from earlier this season. But we'll see how this race pans out first. It was a 15.1 second stop from Buemi, who rejoins the track. What position is he in? 5th place. Behind Jenson Button, there is Button. Ahead of Vettel. Now, is Button going to hold him up? Depends what we see as the more important factor. Low fuel or new tyres. Just saw a glimpse of Rosberg come into the pits. Both FJRs in the points at the moment, but pit stops are underway. And in fact, they're the only team that have both cars in the points at the moment, but as I say, pit stops are underway, so all of that is subject to change. Lewis Hamilton pits, 1 lap after Buemi. So pulling into his garage. New tyres, fuel. And how long is this stop compared to the Swiss driver in the Mitchell? So it's 1.3 seconds quicker than Buemi, so let's see what Hamilton can do on these new tyres. I suppose his aim would be to try and catch up quite quickly to the lead. And out of the pit's 7th place, so it's behind Kobayashi, but some nice clear track for the Brit. The current championship leader after his win last time out in Canada. Kovalainen versus Romain Grosjean for 7th place. Neither of these drivers have pitted. I don't. Oh, in fact, Kovalainen may have pitted. I'm not quite sure on that one. Yeah, I think Kovalainen's pitted already. So, defending a bit from Grosjean. And in amongst the pit stops, Alonso still leads. Button 24.8 seconds behind. Pulling out a bit of a gap to Buemi, so it looks as if fuel is the main factor, rather than new tyres to get a gap. Fuel from the car in front, new tyres from the car behind. And Vettel's 1.8 seconds behind Buemi, but yet to stop. And this sequence of pit stops has cost Perez and Webber quite dearly. Well, Webber had his problem, of course. Perez was just a scheduled stop. This is Alonso coming up to lap his own teammate. Well, what a contrast of races, these two. And Button lost a second to Alonso and lost a bit to Buemi, I think. Vettel lost a lot to Buemi, I have to say. Now, what's going to happen here? And sensible driving from Raikkonen. In fact, Alonso comes into the pits for the first stop. So what can he do about the gap to Buemi? He's been pulling out a bit, so it's going to be quite close. I would expect Buemi to... Well, if Buemi keeps a hold of the lead, then he'll be expected to pull away a little bit. But that's a much faster stop for Alonso, so 12.2 seconds. It was nearly 3 seconds faster than Buemi. There's some cars going up past on the left there. where is Alonso in relation to Buemi? Out of the pits comes the Spaniard. That looks like Vettel, so he's rejoined behind Buemi, but not far behind Vettel. Jenson Button leads then on lap 27. Only 1.7 seconds the gap between himself and Buemi, but Button has not stopped. Neither has Vettel. There is Jenson, there's Buemi, there's Vettel, there's Alonso, and behind, that's a lapped runner. So we've got an Andy Racing and a weaving GRM all over the place. So in the slipstream is Piquet. And he's in the slipstream of, looks like Barrichello. And Jenson now extending his gap a bit to 2 seconds. Up the inside goes Piquet, and it is Barrichello. So that's a positioned gain for the Andy Racing. Not been a strong weekend for them this time. Suttle was actually third in Canada. And exactly half distance, and looking at Button, into the pits comes Button. So that's why we're looking at him. Buemi retakes the lead now. There he goes. And it'll be interesting to see how long this stop be, because Jenson can go all the way. And Vettel's in the pits as well, so it'll be interesting to see the times of these two. Up goes Jenson. Past goes Vettel. It does appear that it's going to be quite a long stop. This looks like it's a one-stopper for both Button and Vettel. Definite one-stop, so it'll be interesting to see where they'll end up come the end of the race. But it's 6th place for Button. Should be anyway. There goes his teammate, so it's 7th in fact. Kobayashi and Grosjean have not stopped yet, so both FJRs going for the one stop. We'll see Buemi again soon into the pits. Just coming up to lap both Guy Racing, so it's not been a good race for Guy Racing either. It's Kubica first, and then Rosberg second. Just behind there is Alonso. And it'd be good to see the gaps. Perez has come out of contention now. Webber has managed to make his way back up to 7th place, so that's an impressive comeback from the Australian. Kovalainen is having a look at Kobayashi, who's not stopped. Kovalainen has stopped. Raikkonen pits. And look at this queue of cars behind Lewis Hamilton. He's not pulled away from Kobayashi, so that's quite interesting to note. So maybe Shake and Bake just don't have the pace at the front this time. Looks like Kobayashi's tyres are getting old though, so he'll be expected to pit soon, as will Grosjean. Not this lap for Kamui, but Kovalainen is going to get a good run out of the last corner. So he's going to have a look into turn 1. He's going to lap brake. And it looks like he has got him just about. Although Kobayashi may choose to have a look back in the slipstream. Into turn 2. Will we see a Pedersen come up on the right hand side? Nope. Kovalainen is safe. So Kovalainen's season so far has not been the best of seasons for him, but he did score a 6th place out in Canada last time out. And there's a replay of what seems to be Nico Hulkenberg who's going to go off the track. Is he going to spin? Yes, he is, into the gravel trap. And buried the throttle, so he's rejoined fine. Grosjean has got ahead of Kobayashi, so Kobayashi's lost another position. And where did Mark Webber go? I think Webber's just come into the pits. Was that even Webber? Yes, it was. Buttons moved up to 7th. But Grosjean and Kobayashi have not pitted yet. No doubt they're one stopping. But Kobayashi in his slipstream of Roman. Grosjean defending. And Hulkenberg I saw out with an engine problem, as is Robert Kubica. So Guy Racing's race goes from bad to worse. Alonso in 2nd place, so he's got the gap down to 3.9 seconds, but into the pits comes Alonso. So it was short-filled for the 2nd stint in an effort to try and close the gap between himself and Buemi. Sort of worked, but I don't think he's been quick enough. Would expect Buemi to rejoin back in the lead. Alonso, there's some FJR mechanics out there as well for Grosjean. And they've just come back in actually, so Grosjean has just made a pit stop, I think. So 26 laps, 14.4 seconds stop. Bit more than half a second a lap. Theoretically. So we're just to wait for Buemi to come in. Would expect him to rejoin ahead of Alonso. So it looks as if the guy in front with low fuel has got the advantage. Hamilton pits, showing as P4, but it would have been P3 before his pit stop. Kobayashi in the pits as well, so he's finally making his pit stop. 2nd place Alonso has got Glock coming up alongside him. But Glock is a lap down. In fact, Glock needs to get out of the way of Kovalainen. Because Kovalainen is on the same lap as Alonso. That's some interesting driving there from Timo. Buemi starts another lap. And this has not been a good outlap for Alonso. Troubled by Glock. Buemi pits. Buemi pits. So let's see where he rejoins. That will be Glock coming through to unlap himself. Into the pits comes Rosberg as well. But he's a lap down on Buemi. .6 seconds, so it's a shorter stop than Alonso's. I'd expect him to be in the lead. Coming out the tight right, he's still in the lead. So it looks like it's Buemi's to lose now. In fact, Alonso had only just crossed the start-finish line, so he's lost a lot of time in these in-laps and out-laps. Button's up to 3rd place, so his one-stop strategy has worked out quite well. Vettel and Perez are absolutely side by side as they cross the line. And Perez has just taken that position, so... And now his engine has blown up. He just made his 2nd pit stop then, so... That's bad luck for Perez. Alonso's dropped behind Button somewhere. We haven't seen this, but Button's up to 2nd place. So, where has Alonso lost that time? I imagine we're just about to see it now. He's in the way... There's a... Whoa, he's just... Whoa, that was a mistake from Alonso. And clouting the wall. But getting away with it just about. And trying to rejoin. So he stopped, presumably because there's Jenson Button. So you had to let Jenson through, otherwise he would have just... Button would just T-boned him. What a crucial error that from Alonso. And are they coming up to the same GRM? Yes, they are. And has Button just done the same thing? He has done! What the hell is going on? And he's lost a tyre! Well, the GRM just caused an absolute pain for both Alonso and Button. So, what on earth was that all about? I'll have to see which one that was. It was... looked as if it was Paffett. I can only presume it was Paffett. Well, there is Paffett. So what looked like an absolute gift for Alonso, and Vettel's pulling out of third place, so he's just lost a podium position. Now this is going to help Hamilton quite nicely, because he's up to third. Gearbox problems for Vettel. And Kovalainen's out, so his good race has come to an end. And look at his left front tyre, that's clearly a loose tyre. So it's all kicking off here. But none of this has troubled Buemi. He's got a very, very comfortable lead on Alonso now, after the GRM made an absolute tit of himself. I think it must have been Paffett. I can't imagine Barrichello doing something like that. Just rounding the two left-handers of the circuit. That's one of them. Into the second one. And that's the second one. So, looks as if he's sewn up his second victory of the season. Just as long as he rounds these final two corners. Started pole position. So it's been nice and steady for the Swiss driver. Sebastian Buemi takes his second victory of the season for Mitchell. So this will cement his third place in the championship. And with the results as well, Alonso and Hamilton are now tied for the championship. But Hamilton does have the advantage as he has more race wins. Kobayashi impressive in fourth place. His one-stop strategy obviously helped out there. Good drive from Mark Webber as well, despite his loose tyre at the beginning of the race, to finish fifth ahead of Romain Grosjean. Salvages some points for FJR. Raikkonen's made his way back up to 7th place after his first lap incident. And the Drivers' Championship, we have Hamilton and Alonso tied. Buemi cements third place. Grosjean now up to 4th, propelling himself past Hülkenberg and Raikkonen for that matter. But it could have been Jenson Button up there had it not been for the lackadaisical GRM driver. So now we just await the constructors, and it's Tornado from Shake and Bake, 7 points the gap, and the gap between Shake and Bake and Mitchell 15. FJR 4th in the championship, just extending it slightly over Guy Racing. And we shall see you for the next race, which is coming up soon. I believe it's in Silverstone, but we just need to double check that. We do get that screen now afterwards. It is indeed Silverstone. So, Hamilton looking to make it 5 wins this season at Silverstone in front of the home crowd. And we shall see you at the next race.